everyone, today I am here at the beautiful Borderland State Park. This is my home disc golf course. Today I'd like to show you a couple of the reasons why I think this is the best disc golf course around. I don't plan on showing you every single shot that I make, but I'd like to show you some of the more interesting throws that are available here. I'm not going to play a regulation format, probably going to mix it up a little bit. That's one of the great things about this course, is that we have so many available formats. Alright, let's get straight to the course. I'm on the tee here at hole 1. This is located directly behind the ranger station. And this is the blue tee pad. We have 2 tee pads and 2 baskets for each hole. There's a blue layout and there's a white layout, but the two can overlap, so you can mix and match them as well. Play blue to white to blue, white to white, blue to blue, and then there's all kinds of variations that go in between. I personally like this blue tee shot. This is a great throw. Probably your best approach for this is to throw a right-hand flick. Try and keep the disc on the right side of the fairway for as long as possible. Throw a nice straight one down there. I have it bomb out to the right-hand side. I, however, do not have such a powerful flick. As a right-hand backhander, I have to kind of throw a turnover shot here to try and get anywhere near the basket, which is down the hill and slightly off to the right. Let's see if I can pull that off today. It may be difficult to see exactly what happened there, but as my disc was coming down the fairway, I turned it over a little bit too much. And while there are multiple lanes, or what you might call a poke and pray shot here, I clipped one of these trees and ended up somewhere over there. So we're gonna have a fairly routine upshot, a little bit crowded, going down the white to blue fairway to finish off this hole. Not a great shot there. I turned it over a bit too much. So I am a good 40 feet to the right of the pin. Okay, so I'm now standing on hole 2, having finished out with a par on the last one. This is a 910-foot hole. It's a big dog. One of the reasons I like this, however, is the drive. Shot out into an open fairway, a couple of trees in our way. You may not be able to see it on film right now, but there's a branch dangling down that's kind of blocking off the left-hand side of the fairway a little bit. But this is a smash, whether you're going from blue to white or blue to blue. The trick for going blue to blue is that you have to land the disc in a certain part of that open fairway in order to get through a gap that's coming up, bringing us into a second fairway to finish off the remaining 900 feet of the hole. It's a big bomb, but it's a fun one. It's technical. Got this little weed right in front of me here that's kind of blocking exactly where I'd like to place the disc. I'm not quite sure how I want to attack this. I'm just going to have to go for a kind of a high release. Not horrible. Okay, so I'm out here in the middle of the fairway now, and I have the white basket over behind me on this side. To my right, I have a gap through the trees. It opens up into a second fairway, wide open field. It goes for another 300, 400 feet. Ultimately, I would love to have my drive land somewhere over here so I can throw a bomb straight up that fairway, but I'm not quite there, even with the second shot. So I've got to throw an ante-shot around these trees and somehow plant it in the middle of the fairway to make a boss, fourth throw to get to the green. And yeah, this happens quite frequently, so it's not like it's a shot that I'm afraid of. It's just not easy. Alright, so here we are walking up the fairway, heading through that gap I was talking about. It can be difficult to see depth perception and video and whatnot, but we're going to follow this right around and look straight up the fairway. You can now see the basket in the distance there. And this is the distance that we're dealing with. Like I said before, it's a 910-foot hole. I've played longer. In fact, one of my favorite courses up in New Hampshire, Franklin Falls Dam, has a 1,100-foot hole. But that one is a wide open shot into an open field. It's basically the floodplain for the dam. You don't have to shape your shot very much. You just grip and rip as hard as you can. The direction matters a little bit, but it's all about power and distance on that hole. Here you have to be able to throw a disc that, you've got it to turn over in the right place, finish out in the right place. I unfortunately turned out a little bit too far, so I'm over there on the left side of the fairway. But I should have, a long approach shot to get up near the basket. It's makeable. I might be able to save par, but this could end up being a 6. This is a par 5 hole. Oh. Definitely overthrew that. There's actually OB just behind the basket, and I'm on the hill leading up to that OB section. Tricky. Bogey. You have to backtrack up the fairway just a little bit. You'll find tiny little signs on the trees pointing to, where the next hole is. They can be very hard to find. And then you have to make a trek through the woods where there are multiple paths. So, here we go. I'm going to play this one blue to white. It's an uphill shot. Got to get around or through some trees to get to the basket. Can be deuced. It's a par 3. If I were to play this one blue to blue, it's a very soft 4. Frankly, a lot of people get it in 3. They get the birdie pretty easily. The problem is you can't attack the green, which means getting a deuce very difficult to do. So you can't really call it a par 3, even though that's a very common score here. Here we go. Going to 1. This is why I'm an AM1. This is hole 4. I'm going to play it white to white this time. It is a sneaky kind of a hole. In theory, it's a straightforward throw with a little bit of a turnover for me. You can get there pretty easily with a flick, but again, I don't have that. The trick is getting a disc turnover at just the right point, 3/4 of the way up the fairway, so that it turns toward the green. If you don't get it to turn over, you can end up fading out into oblivion because there's nothing to stop you. And you'll skip, 120 feet down the fairway to the blue basket. Nobody wants to see that. Ooh, good skip. The walk from hole 4 to 5 is probably the worst walk on the course. It's not tricky, it's just long. You have to exit through the woods after you leave 4. Go all the way across the open field. It's a multi-use field for the rest of the park. Into the parking lot on the other side, and then take a left. I'm going to play this hole white to blue. White tee shot brings us out to a split fairway. There's an outside lane or an inside lane. I try to take the outside lane where possible with a very stable disc. But a lot of flick throwers will throw the inside lane, try and get to turn over quickly and then fade back out. It's going to land us in a very swampy fairway at this time of year, and then with an upshot to the blue basket, which is tucked away in the corner. Completely missed my line, but somehow I made it through the trees, so I got lucky there. That's it. Simple putt to finish that one out with a 3. I'm looking at another par 3 here. I'm going to play this one blue to white. It's a big hyzer bomb. I want to finish off to the left side of the fairway. Problem here is we have a telephone pole in the middle, some wires overhead, and a big triple pine tree out there that tends to grab discs. To make matters worse, there's also plenty of other pines over there. It's kind of a get out there, turn to the side, and poke and pray to get through to the fairway. After that, it's a pretty straightforward shot down to the green. Down. I'm playing this next hole gold to alt, I guess. There is a little known thing. We have a couple of extra baskets and an extra pad or two out here on the course. And this is something that may go in permanently, but we have our white pad over here, our blue pad over here. In the far corner, tucked away where you really can't see it, there's no signage, there's what we call the gold tee pad. And it's a pretty nice drive. This is another tricky hole. It looks wide open, but in reality, for a right-hander, especially backhand like me, there are a lot of places you don't want to end up over here. You can get stuck behind things that will inhibit your ability to make your second shot, which is fundamentally a second drive. This is probably about, I don't know, about 700 feet, maybe 600 and something. And so you have to catch a lot of fairway. Oftentimes what I do is I throw a mid here, and then I follow it up with a driver after the fact. I'll try driver and then mid, see how it works out. Okay, that was a good one with the driver. Let's try the mid. Either one of those would work. Okay, so here I am. I'm standing. This was my mid shot. That was my fairway driver. Not much of a difference between the two. I got a little more distance with the driver, but I'm up against some bushes, frankly, little trees over there on the right-hand side, and well, my right-hand side. That's going to pinch off my shot because I have to get out there and all the way around the barn, which is OB, onto the green, which is tucked in behind it. There's also a Mando pole you can see, it's a big orange line out there that I have to get around for the safety of the workers. So I'm actually going to take this mid-range shot. It gives me a better way of attacking it with a big hyzer to get around that corner. Oops. So I hit the roof, bounced off, but I'm in bounds. Got a little bit of a hyzer shot onto the green here. See if I can run this a bit. It's a bit breezy out here right now. Okay, so I'm going to play hole 8, white to blue. I love this drive. I hate this drive. There's quite a bit of OB out there for me to hit. This is one of those holes where you must make it over the wall that's right in front here. If you don't, it's a re-tee, because the last place you were in bounds is end of the tee pad. I'll see if I can hit it today. Probably not, but when it goes, oh boy, is it so much fun. I've parked the basket here a couple of times, and it's one of those shots that just makes the whole round for you. But not today. Oh, just need to get around that tree and then hook back to the green. This is hole 9, throwing this one white to white. This is another one where you're much better off if you have a right-hand flick, but I don't. So we're going to try and backhand it. Just have to keep this disc straight for as long as possible. You can't turn it over too much, you'll end up on the trees on the right. You can't wind it out too far to the left because there are trees right off the tee pad about 50-60 feet that'll take you down quick. Not terrible. I'm told that the money for this bridge that I'm walking over right now was donated by Teddy Bruschi, linebacker for the New England Patriots. Apparently his son is a disc golfer. I'm on hole 10. This one, there's just so many different ways you can play this hole. There's an outside lane, an inside lane. You can flick it, you can hyzer it, you can ante it, you can do all kinds of things. What we got to do is get to the other side of a row of trees that's out there, onto the second half of the fairway, which is an upshot into the basket in the field beyond. Not the trickiest hole, but one where if you make a mistake, you can end up in a bad spot, and it's hard to get out of trouble here. Yeah. Boom sauce on that. There's a story behind that shot. So Borderland's disc golf community is big enough that we actually have 3 teams for a New England Team Challenge. We could probably field 4, but there's just not enough room for us on the schedule during the winter. The last week was the Goats versus the Bombers. It's a rivalry match. We're both in the same division. And on that last hole, my drive landed in about the same place, and my shot was a run at it. It splashed out of the chains. Lost that match by 1. Really wish I had that shot back. Oh well. Oh, it faded out. Whoops. This is another long drive over an open field, but we have a very tiny gap we need to hit. We want to go straight at that pine tree that's out there. If you miss the gap, you are much better off being on the left as opposed to the right. The right is a no-go. Did not turn that enough. Let's see if I can do it again. Second try. Oh, popped it up too high. I am way off to the left of the fairway. You can see the white basket over here. Blue is well beyond it, around some trees. I think I'm just going to play to the white here. I kind of forgot to decide that before I started throwing. This is pretty much just a little, you know, finesse shot up the middle to get back to that white basket. It's swampy. No. All right, so hole 13, blue to blue. Basically a tunnel shot up the middle, a little bit of fade off to the left. Should get me inside the circle. This is a real tricky one for anybody who's a right-hand flick thrower. There are a couple of lanes, but it's a challenge. Oh. This is hole 14. This is a bit of a poke and pray from this layout. I'm playing it from white to blue, so short tee pad to long basket. The thing is the short tee pad isn't any shorter than the blue one. This could really be considered a par 4 maybe, but only because there's not much of a fairway once you get out over that wall and continue up the lane. It's like I say, it's a bit of a poke and pray. You either get through the trees or you don't. I failed to turn the disc over enough to make the lane that I was hoping for, but I got through the trees, so I should have a backdoor lane going up to the blue basket. Okay, so we're playing 15 blue to blue on this one. The distance isn't all that great, but in order to get there, I have to kind of wind the disc on a slight ante, stand it up a bit, and then get it to fade in around some trees, kind of outside of the fairway. Not pictured really on this sign, but it's a fun shot if I can make it, and it's terrible if I miss. So we'll see which happens. If I kept that lower, it probably would have continued straight a little deeper and faded in where I wanted to. Instead, it faded in short and hit the trees. This is hole 16. It's one of my favorite drives. I love this drive because it's so simple, yet you screw it up so often. All you have to do is throw the disc straight and level. Don't go low, you'll hit the hill. Don't go high, you'll hit branches. You can't go left, there's woods over there, and on the right you got a bunch of trees. You might get through, you might not. You'll probably kick into the trees on the left, which is a bad spot to be. So, rip and rip, straight ahead. Not great, but it'll do. My preference is to be on the outside of these trees that are off here on the right-hand side, but we do have a lane up here on the left. It's simple enough to get up there. You just have to stop your disc before it rolls on a hill down on the back side of the basket. I completely missed that. Okay, so we're back behind the mansion and I'm on hole 17. I'm gonna play this one white to blue. Got to get a drive out there in the fairway and then around that forsythia bush to the basket. This is a tricky one because of all the wind. Normally I like to play this off the blue tee, but with all the wind today, and it's always a headwind, makes it a very troublesome shot. This is it, hole 18. We go big before we go home. This is a good 450 footer, but it's a bit of a monster. You have to get up out there, either through the trees and into the next set of the fairway, or over the trees and try and curl it around to the right hand side. It's a 90-degree angle turn out there, not easy to make. And especially because, like I said before, we've got some wind coming and it feels like a bit of a side wind going this way across it. Means anything I put out there on an ante is going to get blown offline. For this shot, I'd much rather have a right hand flick that can get there all the way. I guess I should work on that. Oh, it's not nearly high enough. Okay, that didn't go nearly high enough to get me where I wanted to go, but somehow I made it through a lot of the trees, and I got a big chunk of fairway out of the way, but I am in the woods on the right-hand side of the fairway, second half of it. Let's see if I have a look. All right, so here I am almost in the fairway for hole 4. Not a great spot. I'm gonna have a very difficult look to poke out, get through the fairway, and up to the basket. right, that's what we've got for today. Hopefully I'll be out here again soon. We'll get some more action in. Hopefully I can give you a tour of some other local courses. Until then, take care.